This is Sony's HDR-CX900 camcorder. It's identical to the FDR-AX100 except that the CX900 only shoots in HD. Unusually for a Sony Handycam, this one's got lots of physical manual controls as well as a touchscreen. You even get ND filter switches on the back which can be manual or automatically controlled. Weirdly, we found it refused to use any more than ND1 even when pointed at the sky. When switched manually to ND3 the image comes right, but on Auto ND, despite closing the iris to f11, the camcorder refuses to play ball. The lens has a 12 times optical zoom with a 1-inch sensor behind it, but the iris opens only to f2.8 and ramps quickly down to f4.5 as you zoom. Speaking of which, the lens ring on the front can be switched either to control zoom or focus depending on your preference. There's also a zoom rocker on the body, but it doesn't have much travel in it, so gentle zooms are tricky. But the zoom speed's not the fastest anyway, so this may not be a problem. Sound comes from a 5.1 mic on top, but you can also plug in an external 3.5mm stereo unbalanced mic, and there's a headphone socket too for monitoring. An XLR audio adapter can be bought separately, and this plugs into Sony's hot shoe on top. The design of this shoe, annoyingly, is proprietary, which prevents you adding standard accessories without an adapter. Let's listen to some audio tests. Very key on this camcorder for best sound, if you're going to do it in manual, which you really should anyway, start from down here and bring it up to the right setting. Don't start from here and bring it down. This is a test of the Sony HDR-CX900 internal microphone from about 2 feet away.
I'm now standing 1 metre away from the camera. This is being recorded on the camera's internal microphone in 2-channel stereo. The auto wind noise reduction is set to off, but the recording levels are set to automatic.
There's no obvious lank control port, but in fact this is now operated via a multi-AV/USB port on the side, and that too needs an adapter cable for remote zooms. A small battery is supplied, and this will power the camcorder for about an hour or so. At the back, a pull-out and tilt viewfinder offers an alternative to the flip-out LCD screen. Finally, the lens cap is removable, and therefore very easy to lose. Unusually for a UK camcorder, there is a genuine 24p mode, if you like that filmic look, though it's actually the US 23.976 frames a second. For more conventional video shooting, the CX900 offers traditional AVCHD at up to 28 megabits a second 50p, 60 in the NTSC countries like the USA. Best quality is a 50 megabit per second mode using Sony's XAVC-S format. There's also a low-res 720p mode for proxy or web files. So what's it like in use? Here's our low light test at f2.8 with no gain, and a comparison with Panasonic's X920, which opens to slightly better than f1.7, and Canon's HFG30, whose lens goes to f1.8. You can see that as we add gain, the images all start to exhibit various amounts of noise, but the Sony's appears much cleaner. The Panasonic maxes at 18 dB, the other two keep going, so here's that comparison. We'd never advocate adding this much gain, but sometimes needs must, and it's a test to see which is doing it most cleanly. Again, the Canon maxes out at around 27, the Sony carries on up to 33 dB, and we think is a much better image. In terms of getting focus, there's a very slow to react autofocus. That's good in the sense that it won't be affected by passing objects, but really annoying when you actually want it to refocus. Once things are sharp though, the image is very crisp indeed, as long as you don't use the Stabiliser, which I'll come to in a minute. For manual use, there's a focus assist button, very awkwardly placed on the right-hand side, which expands the image on screen to help you see what's sharp. Focus peaking, that's coloured highlights around high contrasting sharp areas, can also be switched on with a choice of colours and sensitivity. You can touch the screen to select an area for autofocus, or there's face recognition to automatically focus and expose, if required, on human beings. And you can select a non-face object for the camcorder to track and maintain focus on, though in our tests this was slightly dependent on the object being distinctive in the image and not moving too fast. For exposure, there's a slightly complicated but flexible system by which the camcorder can be in full auto, including the ND filters, or you can have various combinations of partial auto using the screen or the control dial to set some elements manually. To assist with exposure, zebra bars can be invoked at a range from 70 to over 100 in steps of 5%. Equally, in auto mode, you can expose by touching the part of the screen you want to set, and the camcorder will adjust, although we found it a little bit crude, perhaps due to our podgy fingers. In auto exposure, not that we recommend this, we felt the camera overdid the highlights. See how the sky is completely blown out here, you can't see any detail of the clouds at all. And there seems to be no way to adjust the camcorder's handling of highlight areas. Here again the clouds are too bright, and as we pan to the ground they completely white out. Now, that stabiliser I mentioned earlier. Here I am walking with it switched off, and as you'd expect, it's very bouncy. Switch it to standard stabilisation and there's a slight improvement. Now turn on active stabilisation and it's great, but there's a catch. It also turns on Sony's clear image zoom in this mode, whether you want it or not, and because that gives you a digital 24x zoom, it also degrades the image slightly even if you don't use that full zoom range. Take a look at this comparison. Both sides are full zoom, but the right has active steady shot and therefore the 24x range. The image isn't as crisp, and even if you back off to the same as the 12x optical zoom, the image is noticeably less sharp, and that's the trade-off if you switch on active stabilisation, so beware. Just for interest meanwhile, here's the stabilisation off when at full zoom and standing still. The image does lock up quite nicely if you use standard stabilisation, and it's very solid using active mode, but again, beware that image quality trade-off. Here's another sample to demonstrate the difference, magnified additionally in the editing to make it extra clear. As is traditional for consumer-oriented camcorders, the CX900 offers a range of stylized looks which you can record your film in, though this is permanent once recorded, and therefore we suggest should be avoided. Much better to add coloration effects afterwards when editing, since at least then you can try various styles and take them off if you don't like them or change your mind. Now in conclusion, we're not sure if we like the CX900 or not. It's very expensive, quite bulky, has poor stabilisation unless you're willing to trade this off with degraded image quality. There are no physical assignable buttons, just on-screen ones, and no XLR audio. Sony's awkward hot shoe does it no favours either, and the unattached lens cap is a nuisance as well. It also lacks little niceties like a time-lapse function. On the plus side, it has got lots of physical controls, the lens ring, exposure dial and buttons, the ND filter, and can shoot 50 megabits a second for great image quality. Low light performance is on a par with the state of the art, and better still when you add gain. That's it for this video. If you liked it, please click the like button and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.